From 8. Time to stare into the night sky, looking into space, as it were, with Dylan Storey. Thanks very much to the Auckland Stardom Observatory. Hello, Dylan.
Hello, Wammo. Hello, everybody.
And, of course, it's not just a movie, Juno, that is. It's also a spacecraft, and that's what we're looking at today, because there's some startling images that have been returned from Juno. What is Juno, and what's it doing?
Well, I thought I'd talk about Juno today. Juno is a probe being sent to Jupiter. And it was launched on August the 6th.
Yep.
But the significance of talking about it now is that from a distance of 10 million kilometres that it's at now, they've turned it around to take a photo of the Earth and Moon. So it's quite a long way away. So it's taken this nice photo of Earth and Moon where Earth just looks like a vaguely blue-coloured dot, and the Moon looks like a vaguely white-coloured dot.
Wow, I love these kinds of pictures that really put our little planet in perspective. Just a tiniest
they
little
do, eh?
Yeah, amazing.
So that's kind of the significance of it, I guess, is that even from 25 days flying, it's gone so far away from the Earth that it's reduced to basically looking like a bright star with the Earth and Moon system, and sort of seeing our planet from outside is quite revealing of our status as basically just a tiny rock in the middle of an endless void, I guess.
Yeah, and all the madness that goes on this little rock.
Oh, doesn't it? Doesn't it?
This little bit of noise in a little corner of the galaxy. Amazing.
Yeah, this tiny little area buzzing with activity. So the Juno probe it's on its way flying away from Earth, but against what you might think, it is not heading towards Jupiter at the moment, even though that's its destination.
Mm-hmm.
Because to get to Jupiter, it actually flies to the inner solar system first. This is part of the gravitational assists and methods that help it get to the outer solar system. So it'll do. I think it's only doing one lap actually. This one of the inner solar system, and it's going to fly by Earth again on in 2013. So we'll get another chance to take some photos of Earth.
Yeah.
And that trip around the inner solar system will give it the speed pickup it needs to cover the vast distances between planets on the way to the outer solar system. So it's due to arrive at Jupiter in 2016.
It's a while away, isn't it? So it's I guess it's being slingshotted. Is that right?
Yeah, it gets slingshotted. So gravitational assists from the other planets, basically, and from the sun. As it goes closer to the sun's gravity drags it. So the rocket boosters get fired just at the right time, so that it can escape from the sun's gravity well, or the planet's gravity well, and that gives it the speed pickup it needs. Of course, if something was travelling through space just by rocket power, it would basically never get anywhere. You'd have to burn massive tanks full of fuel to get any kind of speed up. So it's all about that sort of slingshot effect. I compare it to when you're on a swing. How if just at the right moment you kind of tuck your feet in or push your feet out or something, to change your weight, and it gives you the boost to swing up.
Yeah,
but that's kind of like the way these probes get around the solar system.
So what's its
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's its actual purpose once it gets to Jupiter? What's it looking for?
It's study all sorts of things about Jupiter. It's going to be the first craft that's had the capability to go into some sort of polar orbit around Jupiter, so observing the polar regions has never been done before, so there's all sorts of interesting stuff. There's Jupiter's massive magnetic field. There's a lot of aurora activity on the poles of Jupiter.
Yep.
It's got a mission of, I think it's 30 odd normal orbits before its trajectory is going to take it very close to within almost skimming range of the clouds. Not quite skimming range, but a very, very close orbit to Jupiter. So it's going to get unprecedented close views and data collected from Jupiter to give us more indication of the makeup.
Yeah, cool.
And so I believe it's focusing mainly on the planet itself rather than the moon system, but it still will pick up. I expect a lot of peripheral information about Jupiter's very interesting four innermost moons.
So I saw a comment on the blog where some of these images have been posted, and one of the comments was saying, well, these images are nice, of the Earth and the Moon, but really they're just sort of PR images from NASA to keep the public interested. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, sure, but I mean, they're really interesting PR images.
They are, yeah.
I mean, one of the most famous space photos ever is it's called Earthrise. It was taken from Apollo 11, I believe. Yeah, Apollo 11, and it basically shows the Earth from the Moon. So the Earth in the background with the Moon in the foreground, and I mean, now you see photos of the Moon of the Earth all over the place. They become ubiquitous. But back in 1969, this is basically humanity's first ever look at our environment externally. So it's the first time, and I think it. I mean, I've learned through studying astronomy that it had a really big effect on the population. Like you could learn about this stuff in theory, but actually seeing the Earth from outside had a big effect on people's perception of our environment. So it may be a PR photo, I guess, but it's a very important one. The Earthrise photo and the glass marble photo is another important one, taken from one of the Apollo missions where it first turned back to look at the Earth and it looked like a glass marble. So these two photos really did a lot for changing public perception of our environment, and therefore for, I guess, funding the space program or whatever.
And talking about Jupiter, of course, we're not too far away from Jupiter rising, is that right?
That's right. It'll be rising in the east a little bit later at night, from memory, about 11:30 or 12.
It's just above the horizon at the moment, right now.
To the west, is it?
Yeah.
Should be to the west, yeah. So it's morning now and it's setting in the west. That means it'll be rising in the east, basically 12 hours prior. So. And talking about that,
the moon last night. I don't know if anyone caught the I'm sure you did catch the moon last night. A nice crescent moon, but it was setting not too long after sunset as well. And it was just quite, it had that appearance of being large in the sky and had a nice sort of yellow tinge to it as well. It was really, really, really nice. Love the crescent moon.
It's awesome, eh? I didn't see it last night because where I live it's kind of surrounded by bush, so you don't really see anything close to the horizon. But I did see it the night before when I was actually in at Stardome, and it was a thinner crescent then. So when you catch it in the western sky, when it's a tiny little thin crescent, it is awesome, especially when it takes on that coloration.
It has that.
And there is of course the moon illusion.
What? Oh yes, of course, yeah.
Where the moon looks bigger on the horizon.
Yeah. But when it takes on that appearance, it has that that science fiction sort of look. It looks like it's a planet hanging in the sky in an alien world or something like that. Even though it does, obviously we're on Earth and everything, but it has that science fiction sort of feel to it. It's quite cool.
But if we were in a binary planet system or something, or if we were on a moon orbiting a big gas giant or something, that's pretty much how it would look.
Yeah.
There's a pretty cool photo somewhere of how Saturn would look from, I think it's the moon Enceladus.
Yeah.
One of its nearest moons. How it would sort of dominate the sky.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Well, of course, you can go and check out a lot of this stuff and learn a whole lot more over at the Auckland Stardome Observatory, and continue the conversation with Dylan as well on Twitter, twitter.com/Dylan Storey. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Wammo.
It's now 11 minutes away from 8 here on Kiwi. Got something going back in